Hello, I am here again for your viewing pleasure. The last few videos have been fantastic. They've taken off, and the responses have been great. And it's very difficult to think of subject to matters to talk about when you're talking about films and physical media. Like, I could review Blu-rays, but there's hundreds of channels that review Blu-rays. What I can do is recommend movies to you that are available on physical media. So it's less a review of a specific product and more a review of the film that is on a specific format. Because let's face it, like, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of channels that are dedicated to reviewing the new boutique releases. So people like Serial at Midnight, Boutique Blu-rays with Elliot Cohen, great channel by the way. They focus on more of a review of the release than the film, although Elliot does talk a lot about the film. But I don't really want to do that because it's sort of been done to death. And I feel that my way of doing things is more sort of bringing out more obscure movies, I guess. Or maybe not more obscure movies. I suppose I haven't really talked about much of the new films that are coming out. Like, I haven't talked, because I don't own any of the new films that are out. Maybe apart from John Wick Chapter 4 and the Godzilla vs. Kong is pretty much the latest films that I've bought that have come out. So I say the latest films released that I've bought. So I don't tend to buy more modern releases because I'm not massively into the whole superhero genre or majority of the films that come out these days. I'm not a huge fan of what they call it, worthy movies. I don't have many Oscar nominations. Well, I do have quite a few Oscar winners, but they are specific to certain genres. Yeah, I've got like Schindler's List, and I've got Braveheart and Gladiator. Like, these are the films you're supposed to have in a collection. I've got like Forrest Gump. What else have I got? I've got Dune, that was nominated for Oscars. I've got Mad Max Fury Road, that was nominated. I think it won 8 Oscars. So I feel like my channel is more geared towards film recommendations that are available on a physical format. So I suppose that is more of where I'm gonna go with this channel. Yeah, I'll still talk about physical media. I will still talk about like why you should or why you shouldn't, or give you tips. I'm not going to give you tips actually, because that was the first video that I made, which kind of blew up, but I don't want to go over the same thing. So my idea is to just follow where I've kind of left off with the other videos, where it's been more of a recommendation, I guess, instead of reviews of physical media releases. So with that said, I was brought up in the 80s and the 90s. When I was a kid, almost all the films that I watched were made in the 80s. Specifically, the more family-friendly movies. I'm not going to talk about like Back to the Future or Gremlins. I suppose Gremlins ain't exactly family-friendly. Or like the Goonies, because they've been talked to death. I'm not going to go through the Star Wars or Star Trek movies again, because they're the big players. They're the ones that everybody knows. But not everybody knows of all the films. That doesn't really make any sense. 90% of the majority know the big boys. Back to the Future, Indiana Jones, Star Wars, Star Trek, the Arnold Schwarzenegger movies like Commando, Red Heat, Raw Deal, Conan the Barbarian, Beverly Hills Cop 1 and 2. I think Beverly Hills Cop 3 was 1993. So I'm not going to focus on the ones that everybody knows. I'm more inclined to focus on the more culty kind of obscurities when it comes to 80s cinema. Not to make myself look big-headed, because these are mostly films that I remember watching on VHS when I was a kid. Literally a 5-minute walk from my house was this huge video shop called the Cardiff Video Centre, where we would just go and we would rent every single thing that we wanted. Well, age rating permitting, but I remember just watching a lot of these films, and these films are the films that I've then gravitated towards as an adult. And I think, apart from the big boys like Indiana Jones and maybe not Indiana Jones because I'm talking science fiction, like Terminator 1, like RoboCop, like They Live, and because yes, They Live is a science fiction movie. It's not a horror movie in the slightest. I'd rather focus on the smaller films than maybe not everyone is aware of, that I can recommend as maybe a fun time or a fun hour and a half. So yeah, these are more like family-friendly science fiction films. There's maybe one or two that are a little bit out there that I wouldn't recommend the entire family sitting down to watch. There's nothing like horrendous in it. There's no it's not overtly violent, or there's no sexual scenes in it. But they're more geared towards like an older audience. But they are in that same sort of vein. So the first one I want to recommend is a film that, again, this is a film that I watched when I was a kid. It was released on VHS, which we rented from the Cardiff Video Centre. There was also a shop called ABC Video, which, again, I remember my mum pre-ordering Back to the Future 3 for my birthday, because it came out in September to rent, and my mum pre-ordered it from ABC Video so we could watch it on my birthday. It's Back to the Future 3. That is a memory I vividly remember. That is going to stay with me forever. Which, again, talking about memories and movies and stuff, see the previous video. So yeah, this first one is it's a British science fiction film. It stars Neil Dixon and Peter Cushing. It is Bigles, Adventures in Time. This film, it's quite cheap, quite cheesy, but it's based on the character Bigles, which was... Who created Bigles? I cannot remember, but he's like the British version of, I say, Flash Gordon. Whereas instead of being set on Mongo with Ming the Merciless and people like that, he is sort of like a sort of boy's own adventure character, like Dan Dare, or I don't really know many boys' own characters. I didn't really read those type of comics or books when I was a kid. I read Spider-Man and Superman and Batman and those type of ones. But this is that kind of character. He's like a boy's own adventure. He's a World War I pilot who is transported through time to modern-day London. And by modern-day London, it was, 1983? 1986, sorry. Where he is helped in his mission by Peter Cushing. This is a very fun film. It's, like I said, it's quite cheesy. It has a terrible soundtrack that is massively catchy. I think this is still available on Blu-ray. I'm not 100% sure. I picked this up cheap when it was released. I think it was like $7.99 on Amazon when it came out. And yeah, there's no special features on it. It's just got a original theatrical trailer, so there's no commentary by Neil Dixon or any behind the scenes footage or anything like that. But it is a 92-minute movie. It is a 1080p, 24 frames per second, 1.851 aspect ratio, which is the original theatrical aspect ratio. It's in color. It's got LPCM 2.0 stereo. It's region free, so it's not locked to a region. So if you can find this cheap and you're in America, why not get it? It's a fun movie. So yeah, that's Bigles, Adventure in Time. A fun 80s, low-budget British science fiction comedy, I guess. Adventure movie comedy. This one, I know a lot of people are going to know this movie. It's been referenced in Spielberg movie. So it's Buckaroo Banzai, Across the Eighth Dimension, starring Peter Weller as the eponymous Buckaroo Banzai. And this movie's fucking amazing. It's so mental. It's not a film that would ever get made now. Like, there is not a single studio that would actually pony up money for this film to be made. It was written by W.D. Richter, and also directed by W.D. Richter. This film is it's bonkers. It's bonkers. Peter Weller plays Buckaroo Banzai. He is a brain surgeon, astrophysicist, rock star, something else. He is one cool motherfucker in this movie. He is an absolute cool motherfucker. This is the German Blu-ray. It is also available on Blu-ray from from Arrow Video. I don't know if that is discontinued now or out of print. But this one was gifted to me for Christmas from my brother. I love this movie. This movie is absolutely fantastic. Jeff Goldblum is in this as a doctor, I believe, who joins Buckaroo Banzai's band or group of people and dresses as a cowboy for the rest of the movie. Also stars Ellen Barkin and John Lithgow as John Big Booty. This film's bonkers. If you have never seen Buckaroo Banzai, watch it. In fact, in Ready Player One, the Steven Spielberg movie, the main character's favourite science fiction character is Buckaroo Banzai. And when they're in the Oasis, his avatar basically wears the same costume as Buckaroo Banzai. So it's incredibly stupid. It's all over the place, but it's fucking awesome as well. It also has the deleted scene where Jamie Lee Curtis plays Buckaroo's mum. Gotta have the Pepsi break. This next one, while not technically a science fiction film, it sits in the realm of sort of fantasy, I guess. This is a Walter Hill film from 1984? 1984. It's a Walter Hill film from 1984. It is a rock and roll fable. So there's the fantasy aspect of it. And it stars a very young Diane Lane and Michael Paré and Willem Dafoe. It is Streets of Fire. This film slaps like a motherfucker. This film is amazing. I first saw this by chance by ordering a Korean DVD from eBay because the cover artwork I thought was amazing. So I ordered it and I loved it to the point where me and my friend Sam, we did a screening in a warehouse where we showed 3 sort of anti-musical musicals. So we showed the Phantom of the Paradise, Streets of Fire, and Trick or Treat, the 80s horror rock and roll movie. And And we had quite a few people show up, which was really, really cool as well. It was all free, so we didn't make any money off it. We brought our own films, borrowed a projector, shot it out the wall, and yeah, we did a 3-movie marathon in a warehouse, which was fucking amazing. And I wish we did that again, but Sam now lives in France. So yeah, like Streets of Fire is such a great movie. It's got a fantastic soundtrack. This is a really, 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 really fucking good release from Second Sight. There are quite a few special features. There is a Rumble on the Lot, Walter Hill Streets of Fire Revisited, a new feature-length documentary, which you don't tend to see on Blu-rays these days. Feature-length documentary featuring interviews with Walter Hill, Michael Paré, Amy Madigan, and James Allen. Also, original electronic press kit featuring Rock and Roll Fable, exaggerated realism, choreographing the crowd, creating the costumes from the ground up, personality profile, featurette, teaser trailer, and on-air promos. And it's also got a music video for Tonight Is What It Means to Be Young and I Can Dream About You. There is a song on this which was written by... what's his name? I can't remember his name now. But he wrote a lot of Meatloaf's songs. And I think he was in charge of the music production on this. But as with all Walter Hill movies, the music was done by Ry Cooder. So check out Streets of Fire. Streets of Fire is fucking awesome. It's also got Rick Moranis in it as Billy Fish. A couple more now. This next one is a weird sort of post-apocalyptic 80s movie from 1987. It's from the director of Miracle Mile, Steve DeJarnette, or Jarnette, however you pronounce it. This is a film about a man whose sex robot decides to not stop working. And he has to go and find the pieces to replace, which means he has to go out into the wasteland. And to help him, he hires a tracker, played by Melanie Griffiths. It is called Cherry 2000. This film's, again, it's quite bonkers. It's a little bit more coherent than Buckaroo Banzai, but again, this is the type of film that would never get made these days because it's such an out there premise. It would only get made in the 80s, and it's a great 80s movie. Is Ben Johnson Don Johnson's brother? Because he looks awfully similar. I'm going to have to look that up because I think he might very well be. But yeah, Cherry 2000 is really good. It's got a very cool stunt where they have to get... I don't know if you can see on the back. Oh, it is on the... It's actually on the front. There's a very cool stunt where they have to get this car across a gigantic sort of quarry, and the only way to do it is with a winch. And yeah, it's pretty cool. It kind of reminded me of Hell Comes to Frogtown, the Roddy Piper movie, which, again, that would only get made in the 80s. Then we got another film, another post-apocalyptic film, actually, which is a film that I grew up on, but I didn't know it as... its original title. I only knew it as the title it was released as in the UK. It's Solar Warriors. That's the title it was released as in the UK. In the States, it was released as Solar Babies, which is a fucking awful title. Solar Warriors is a far better title. This is basically a sort of dystopian post-apocalyptic movie where all the Earth's water has been sort of taken, I guess, by the horrible sort of dystopian authority that is in charge. A bit like Water and Power from Tank Girl, the 1995 masterpiece of comic book filmmaking. So yeah, there's quite a decent similarity to it. But I watched this a lot when I was a kid, mainly because it was about kids on roller skates playing a sort of roller hockey, if you will. And I used to watch this over and over and over again. It's got a great casting. It's basically half the cast of The Lost Boys. So it's got Jamie Gertz in it and Jason Patric. I think this was made before. Yeah, I think it was made. Yeah, it was made in 1986. I think Lost Boys was made in 87. But it also has Lucas Haas, Charles Durning, and Richard Jordan, who, if you are not aware, Richard Jordan is also in... I can't find it now, so I'm not going to bother. He's also in Logan's Run. He's the guy who has to chase down and capture Logan. Great performance in that movie. He's also in Yakuza, which I've mentioned before, which is a great 1970s Sidney Pollack crime thriller starring Robert Mitchum. That's the bad boy. So yeah, Solar Warriors is a really cool sort of... Now, it's quite cheesy. Sort of post-apocalyptic movie. It was made by MGM. Again, MGM wouldn't make a movie like this in 2024, which is understandable because there would be no audience for it. But in the 1980s, where studios would take chances, they would release these type of films, which is why you get films like Bigles, why you get films like Cherry 2000, why you get films like Streets of Fire and Buckaroo Banzai. These are the films that we just never would see anymore. And if we do get films like that, they're usually classed as indie science fiction, which I don't understand how you could do Cherry 2000 on an indie budget, but then even that is probably lower than most indie movies get these days as for a budget. So Solar Warriors is a cracking time. It is this is the 101 Films release. I got a really itchy nose today. I apologise. Oh, I did forget to say. So, Cherry 2000 is released by Signal One. I did, in the last video, talk about the fact that I had 2 copies of Eye of the Tiger, and one of them was being done as a giveaway, and I kept saying it was Second Sight, and I realised that when I watched the video back. I could not be asked editing it. So it's not Second Sight who's released Eye of the Tiger, it's Signal One. And they also released Cherry 2000. So this is the Film 101, or 101 Films release. This is the cult movie collection of Solar Warriors. You can generally pick this up on their website for about $7.99 or $5.99 because they have sales all the time. Pick it up. It's a great fun movie. It's a bit cheesy, but it's fun. Oh, it's also got Adrian Pasdar in it from Heroes as well. Another film that I grew up watching in the 1980s, and one which I kind of forgot about till I saw a clip on YouTube a few years back. This is another film from 101 Films. This one is Space Hunter: Adventures in the Forbidden Zone, starring Peter Krause and Molly Ringwald. It also has Michael Ironside in it as the villain, known as Overdog. This film, again, like Buckaroo Banzai, is fucking mental. Absolutely mental. It has that sort of early 80s, I don't know, Roger Corman-esque feel to it. It's kind of sleazy, but also not sleazy. But it's also a bit like the... what's that film from the 70s, Star Crash, with David Hasselhoff. I think it's Luigi Cosi who directed that one. That's a bad movie, by the way. This, however, is fun. It's good. It's got Peter Krause, Molly Ringwald, this is 1983. So Molly Ringwald, pre-John Hughes movie. So this is pre-16 Candles, Pretty in Pink, pre-The Breakfast Club. It's cool. It's fun. It's also got Ernie Hudson in it. Again, I think this is probably prior to Ghostbusters, which I think is 1984. I think Ghostbusters was 1984. Yes, I think it is. Fun movie. Good release by Second Sight. It doesn't have a reversible sleeve, but it has a very nice shiny disc inside. It doesn't really have much of a special feature selection on there. It does have a commentary with film historian Alan Bryce and Richard Hollis. and it is 89 minutes long. It is in its original aspect ratio, which is 16:9 or 1.771. It's region B. Stereo PCM and DTS HD MA surround English for hard of hearing. This was originally made by Columbia Pictures, and it was released by 101 Films under license, I believe, from Hollywood Classics, I guess, because I've seen that on the back of quite a few of these, especially ones released by MGM and 101 Films. They're sort of licensed by this Hollywood Classics company, who I'm assuming are the ones who are dealing with the archive releases from the big studios. So yeah, I mean, again, this is usually on sale for about $8.99 or $7.99 on 101 Films website. Like I said, they have sales all year round. Pick it up. It's fun. It's got Molly Ringwald in it. And the last one, I know quite a few people should be aware of this movie, because it's very well known in the cult cinema, cult science fiction community, I guess. And it is Roger Corman's science fiction remake of Seven Samurai stroke The Magnificent Seven, and it's Battle Beyond the Stars. This film has not ever had a release in the UK on DVD or on Blu-ray. This is the Shout Factory release, which I picked up a couple of years ago. It's the only region, well, one of the only Region A Blu-rays that I own. And the only reason I've kept it is because I may never be able to find this again. And if I do, perchance get a Region A Blu-ray player, I will be able to watch this again. And this film's really, really fun. It's really, really cool. It's got Richard Thomas from The Waltons and It in it. It's got George Peppard, Mr. Hannibal from the A-Team, and Banachek. And was it Banachek? Was he Banachek or was he Beretta? I think he was Banachek. George Peppard's also in How the West Was Won. He plays the son at the end who goes off to war, I think it is. How the West Was Won is a fantastic western, by the way. It's James Stewart, and the way it's shot is shot in like this massive cinerama, sort of 3 screens, and it looks stunning on Blu-ray, by the way. I would 100% want to see that in 4K, because the Blu-ray like basically cleans up incredibly. This Battle Beyond the Stars cleans up fantastic. Again, this is slightly low budget because it's a Roger Corman movie. It is directed by Jimmy T. Murakami, with production design by James Cameron, or art design by James Cameron, and it's written and screenplay by John Sayles, who is more now known as an art house filmmaker and writer. There is a rumor that Jimmy Murakami was actually removed from the film, and James Cameron basically directed 75% of Battle Beyond the Stars. This film is famous for having the titty ship, as you can see here, which was then reused in multiple post Battle Beyond the Stars Roger Corman science fiction films. So this is the 30th anniversary edition. Like I said, this is the Shout Factory release. It's got a new anamorphic widescreen transfer at 1.851 from the Internegative, and quite a lot of special features, which I'm not going to run through because I can't be arsed. It's late. It's 2:30 in the morning, and this is my second video in a row, I guess. So yeah, Battle Beyond the Stars. So I just wanted to point out a couple of films in the science fiction genre from the 1980s, the greatest decade for cinema, that I think are a little bit underappreciated and should be more loved. Hopefully, by the time I finished recording this video, I will have hit 1,000 subscribers. I say it all the time, my mind is fucking blown. Thank you very, 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 very much. We now have a community tab on the channel. So I've put some stuff up on the community tab, where you can contact me if you want to via Instagram. I've also put the links to my my two websites, which is cinepocalypse.blogspot.com and Bad Movie Beatdown, which is bmbeatdown.blogspot.com, where I've done a lot of film writing and film reviews. So if you want to check them out, you can. There's also a thing up on the community tab where I've posed the question of what would you guys like to see? Would you like to see more movie recommendations or more on the physical aspect of films, more of the physical media stuff? I don't buy every release. I can't afford it. It's too expensive. I now have bills and I will have to get a mortgage soon. So the Blu-ray buying is going to basically go out the fucking window. But if I can recommend films from my collection, I will try and do that as much as I can. So I just want to know what you guys enjoy seeing and what would you want me to talk about. So again, this is another 30-minute video. I quite like aiming at 30 minutes. I think 30 minutes is a pretty good length. Anything longer than that, I think, is going over. I ramble too much to keep it down to 15 minutes. So these videos are going to be this long. And so yeah. Underappreciated 80s science fiction movies. If you would like to see a second part, just thumb this video up and I will do a second part. Just write in the comments, yes, I want to see a part 2. And I will go through my collection and I will find some more underappreciated 80s movies. But thank you all for watching, subscribing, commentating, and thanks for getting me to 1,000. If I'm on 1,000. When I started recording, I was on 999. Hopefully, we've made one more subscriber. And join me on the community tab. Post on there if you want. It'll be fucking awesome to interact with you guys. So, as usual, peace. I'm out.